Welcome to Epic English Stories, where we transform your English journey through the magic of everyday habits. I'm thrilled you've chosen to spend the next 50 minutes with me today. Picture this. Two students start learning English on the same day. One studies intensively for 8 hours straight, then disappears for weeks. The other dedicates just 15 minutes daily, rain or shine. Who do you think speaks better English after 6 months? The answer might surprise you. Today, we're diving deep into the most underestimated superpower in language learning, consistency. This isn't just another English lesson. It's a blueprint for transforming not just your language skills, but your entire approach to growth and success. Whether you're struggling to maintain your study routine, feeling overwhelmed by the vastness of English, or simply wondering if those small daily efforts really matter, this episode will change everything. We'll explore real stories, practical strategies, and life-changing insights that will turn your English learning from a burden into an unstoppable force. Are you ready to discover why the tortoise always beats the hare? Drop a comment below and tell me, what's your biggest challenge in staying consistent with English learning? Let's begin by cracking the code of consistency. What exactly does this powerful word mean? And why does it hold the key to English mastery? Consistency isn't about perfection. It's about persistence. It's showing up day after day, even when motivation abandons you, even when progress feels invisible, even when life throws curveballs your way. Think of it as your unwavering commitment to small, repeated actions that compound into extraordinary results. Imagine two gardens. In the first, a gardener waters intensively once a month, flooding the plants with attention. In the second, another gardener provides just a small amount of water daily. Which garden thrives? The second one, because plants need steady nourishment, not overwhelming bursts followed by neglect. Your brain works exactly the same way. When you expose yourself to English for just 20 minutes daily, you're giving your neural pathways the steady stimulation they need to strengthen and grow. You're building mental highways that become smoother and faster with each use. Here's what happens in your brain during consistent practice. Every time you encounter English, your neurons fire together, creating connections. When you repeat this daily, these connections become permanent pathways. Miss too many days, and these pathways weaken. It's literally use it or lose it at the cellular level. Let me share a fascinating example. Sarah, a nurse from Brazil, wanted to work in English-speaking hospitals. She tried weekend intensive courses, expensive boot camps, and marathon study sessions. Nothing stuck. Finally, she committed to listening to medical podcasts during her 25-minute commute, twice daily. No pressure, no notes, just listening. After 3 months, something magical happened. During a medical conference, she realized she was understanding complex discussions without translation. Her brain had been quietly absorbing patterns, vocabulary, and pronunciation through those consistent, pressure-free exposures. This is the consistency miracle. While dramatic efforts grab attention, quiet persistence transforms lives. You don't need heroic study sessions. You need humble daily habits. Consider water carving through rock. A single drop is powerless, but thousands of drops following the same path create the Grand Canyon. Your daily English practice is that persistent drop, slowly but surely carving fluency into your mind. The beauty lies in how consistency removes the burden of decision-making. When you establish a routine, you eliminate daily negotiations with yourself. You don't debate whether to practice, you simply do it, like brushing your teeth or drinking water. This automatic behavior is where transformation lives. It's not in the moments of high motivation or perfect conditions. It's in the ordinary moments when you choose to honor your commitment despite feeling uninspired. Understanding why consistency works requires diving into the fascinating world of neuroscience. Your brain is constantly rewiring itself based on your experiences, a phenomenon called neuroplasticity. Every time you engage with English, you're literally reshaping your brain's architecture. When you practice consistently, even for short periods, you trigger what scientists call spaced repetition learning. This isn't just memorization, it's deep, structural change. Your brain strengthens the neural pathways used most frequently while allowing unused connections to fade. This is why sporadic, intense study sessions often fail. They don't give your brain the repeated signals it needs to prioritize these new pathways. Let's explore what happens during those crucial 15 to 20 minutes of daily practice. In the first few minutes, your brain activates existing English knowledge. By minute 5 to 7, it begins making new connections between familiar and unfamiliar concepts. Minutes 8 to 15 are where the magic happens. Your brain enters a flow state where pattern recognition accelerates dramatically. Research from MIT shows that students who study language for 20 minutes daily outperform those who study for 2 hours twice weekly by a 3:1 margin. The daily learners showed increased gray matter density in language processing areas after just 30 days. Here's the remarkable part. Consistency doesn't just improve your English. It enhances your brain's overall learning capacity. Dr. Michael Merzenich, a neuroscience pioneer, discovered that consistent language practice increases cognitive flexibility, improves memory, and even delays age-related mental decline. Let me tell you about David, a 45-year-old accountant who believed he was too old to learn English. He started with 5 minutes of vocabulary practice during his morning coffee. His rule was simple. Learn 3 new words daily, no exceptions. After 100 days, David had encountered 300 new words. But something unexpected happened. He began recognizing patterns in word formation. He could guess the meaning of new words based on prefixes and suffixes he'd absorbed unconsciously. His brain had developed what linguists call linguistic intuition. This illustrates the compound effect of consistency. Your initial efforts create a foundation. Each subsequent day builds upon that foundation, creating exponential rather than linear growth. It's like interest in a bank account. The longer you contribute, the faster your balance grows. The neuroscience reveals another crucial insight. Consistency triggers the release of dopamine, your brain's reward chemical. Each small completion, finishing a podcast episode, writing a journal entry, practicing pronunciation, creates a tiny dopamine hit. Over time, your brain begins associating English practice with pleasure rather than pain. This neurochemical shift is profound. Instead of forcing yourself to study, you begin craving it. Instead of English feeling like work, it becomes restoration. This transformation from external motivation to internal drive is the hallmark of successful language learners. But here's what most people miss. The power lies not in the individual sessions, but in the cumulative effect. Imagine each practice session as a single thread. One thread is fragile, but when you weave hundreds of threads together, you create an unbreakable rope. Your English fluency is that rope. Each day of practice adds another thread. Some days the thread might be thinner. Maybe you were tired or distracted. Other days it's thicker. You felt energized and focused. But every thread contributes to the final strength. This understanding should liberate you from perfectionism. You don't need flawless performance. You need faithful presence. Your brain doesn't judge the quality of each session. It responds to the consistency of the signal you're sending. Let's shatter one of the most dangerous myths in language learning, the belief that you need motivation to maintain consistency. This misconception has sabotaged more English dreams than any grammar rule or pronunciation challenge ever could. Motivation is like weather, unpredictable, temporary, and completely outside your control. Some days you wake up energized and excited to dive into English. Other days, you'd rather do anything else. If you rely on motivation to drive your practice, you're building your English journey on quicksand. Successful language learners understand a profound truth. Motivation gets you started, but habits keep you going. Habits are automatic behaviors that require no emotional energy or decision-making. They're performed regardless of how you feel, what's happening around you, or what mood you're in. Think about brushing your teeth. Do you need motivation to do it? Do you debate whether you feel like it? Of course not. It's so ingrained in your routine that you do it automatically. This is the power we want to harness for English learning. The transformation from motivation-dependent to habit-driven learning occurs through what psychologists call habit stacking. You attach your new English practice to an existing, well-established habit. For example, after I pour my morning coffee, I will listen to a 10-minute English podcast. Maria, a teacher from Mexico, discovered this principle accidentally. She was struggling to maintain her English practice until she decided to review vocabulary flashcards while waiting for her bus each morning. The 15-minute bus wait became her English time. Within 6 months, she was thinking in English during those morning reviews. The key was linking English practice to an unavoidable part of her routine. She didn't need to remember or decide. The bus wait automatically triggered her English time. Neuroscientist Dr. Ingrabiel's research at MIT reveals that habits operate in a neurological loop. Cue, routine, reward. For Maria, the cue was arriving at the bus stop. The routine was reviewing flashcards, and the reward was the sense of accomplishment plus improved understanding of English content throughout her day. Here's the fascinating part. Once a habit is established, it becomes easier to perform than to skip. Your brain literally craves the completion of the loop. This is why long-term English learners often say they feel off if they miss their practice time. But building this habit requires strategic thinking. You must make the behavior so easy that it's harder to skip than to do. James Clear, author of Atomic Habits, calls this the 2-minute rule. Make your habits so simple it takes less than 2 minutes to complete. Instead of study English for 30 minutes, start with read one English sentence. Instead of have a conversation in English, begin with say one English phrase out loud. These micro habits seem insignificant, but they establish the neural pathway. Once the pathway exists, expanding it becomes natural. Consider Tom, a software developer who wanted to improve his technical English. He started by reading just the headline of one English tech article daily. Within a week, he was naturally reading the first paragraph. Within a month, he was consuming entire articles. The habit expanded organically because the foundation was solid. This approach eliminates the primary excuse for inconsistency. I don't have time. Everyone has 2 minutes. Everyone can read one sentence or listen to one short audio clip. By removing time as a barrier, you remove the most common reason people quit. The habit formation process typically takes 21 to 66 days, depending on the complexity of the behavior and individual factors. But here's encouraging news. Language learning habits tend to form faster because they provide immediate feedback and noticeable progress. Remember, you're not trying to become fluent in 30 days. You're trying to become someone who practices English daily. Once you've achieved that identity shift from someone trying to learn English to someone who learns English daily, fluency becomes inevitable. Every English learner encounters the dreaded plateau, that frustrating period where progress seems to halt despite continued effort. This phenomenon has caused more students to abandon their English dreams than any other challenge. But understanding plateaus transforms them from roadblocks into stepping stones. Plateaus aren't signs of failure. They're evidence of your brain consolidating massive amounts of information. Think of them as construction zones in your mind, messy and inconvenient, but essential for building stronger foundations. Dr. Robert Bjork's research on desirable difficulties reveals that plateaus often precede breakthrough moments. During apparent stagnation, your brain is actually making millions of micro-adjustments, strengthening weak connections, and preparing for the next leap forward. Let me share Elena's story. After 6 months of consistent daily practice, she felt stuck. Her vocabulary wasn't expanding as quickly. Her pronunciation seemed frozen, and conversations felt as challenging as ever. Frustration nearly drove her to quit. Instead of abandoning her routine, Elena made a crucial decision. She trusted the process. She continued her 20-minute daily practice, but added variety to combat boredom. Monday was podcast day. Tuesday was pronunciation practice. Wednesday was vocabulary building. Thursday was grammar review. And Friday was conversation practice with herself. After 3 weeks of this varied consistency, something remarkable happened. During a work meeting conducted in English, Elena realized she was participating naturally, without mental translation. The words flowed effortlessly. Her plateau period had been a preparation phase, not a failure phase. This illustrates a critical principle. Plateaus are often invisible progress periods. While you can't see improvement, your brain is making thousands of subconscious connections. These connections suddenly integrate during breakthrough moments, creating the illusion of overnight improvement. Neuroscientist Dr. Daniel Levitin explains this through his 10,000-hour rule research. Mastery doesn't develop linearly, it develops in waves. Periods of rapid improvement alternate with periods of apparent stagnation. Both phases are essential. The key to navigating plateaus lies in adjusting your practice without abandoning consistency. Here's a plateau-busting strategy that has helped thousands of learners. Week 1 to 2. Change your input sources. If you've been listening to news podcasts, switch to storytelling podcasts. If you've been reading articles, try short stories. Fresh content challenges your brain in new ways. Week 3 to 4. Focus on output, start speaking more, even if it's just narrating your daily activities. Write short paragraphs about your thoughts. Output practice often reveals improvements that input practice has created invisibly. Week 5 to 6. Target specific weaknesses. Identify your most challenging area, pronunciation, grammar, or vocabulary, and dedicate extra attention to it while maintaining overall practice. Carlos, an engineer from Spain, used this approach when he hit a plateau after 8 months of study. He realized his listening skills had far outpaced his speaking ability. By dedicating 10 minutes daily to speaking practice, recording himself reading aloud, he broke through his plateau within 3 weeks. The psychological aspect of plateaus is equally important. They test your commitment to the process rather than attachment to immediate results. This mindset shift, from results-focused to process-focused, is what separates successful learners from those who quit. Plateaus also serve an important function. They force you to deepen rather than just broaden your knowledge. Instead of constantly acquiring new information, you're strengthening existing knowledge, making it more accessible and automatic. Here's an empowering reframe. Plateaus are evidence that you're attempting something worthwhile. Easy achievements don't require plateau periods. The fact that you're experiencing one means you're pushing beyond your comfort zone into genuine growth territory. Professional athletes understand this intuitively. They know that plateau periods precede performance breakthroughs. They trust their training programs even when immediate results aren't visible. Your English learning deserves the same trust. When progress feels invisible, remember that the most important work often happens beneath the surface. Your consistency during plateau periods builds the foundation for your next breakthrough. The plateau will end. The breakthrough will come. Your job is simply to maintain consistency and trust the process. One of the most overlooked accelerators in English learning is the power of social accountability. Humans are inherently social creatures, and our behavior is profoundly influenced by our relationships and commitments to others. This biological reality can become your secret weapon for maintaining consistency. Research from the American Society of Training and Development found that people who share their goals with others and provide regular progress updates have a 95% success rate in achieving those goals, compared to just 43% for those who keep goals private. This isn't just correlation. It's the result of multiple psychological mechanisms working in your favor. When you make your English learning journey visible to others, you activate what psychologists call social proof and loss aversion. You become accountable not just to yourself, but to your community. The fear of disappointing others often provides motivation when personal motivation fails. Let me tell you about the English Breakfast Club, a WhatsApp group created by 5 colleagues in a Brazilian company. Each morning at 7 a.m., they shared one English phrase they'd learned the previous day. The rule was simple: miss 3 days in a month, and you buy coffee for everyone. What started as a simple accountability mechanism transformed into something powerful. Members began competing to share the most interesting phrases. They started having mini conversations in English within the group. Within 6 months, all 5 members had advanced from basic to intermediate level. The magic wasn't in the coffee penalty. It was in the daily visibility of effort. Each member's commitment reinforced the others. On days when motivation lagged, the group chat served as a gentle but firm reminder of their shared goal. This illustrates the commitment device principle from behavioral economics. By creating external consequences for inconsistency, you make it easier to maintain consistency. The consequences don't need to be severe. They just need to be meaningful to you. Social accountability works through several mechanisms. Peer pressure, the positive kind. When others are watching your progress, you naturally want to show positive results. This external motivation supplements your internal drive, especially during challenging periods. Celebration amplification, sharing small wins with others multiplies their impact. When someone acknowledges your daily English practice, you receive external validation that reinforces the behavior. Support during struggles. Everyone faces difficult days. Having others who understand your journey provides encouragement when you need it most. They remind you why you started when you're tempted to quit. Consider Anna, a nurse who wanted to work in English-speaking countries. She created an Instagram account dedicated to her English learning journey. Every day, she posted a short video practicing pronunciation, shared new vocabulary, or discussed something she'd learned. Initially, she had 0 followers, but she committed to daily posts regardless of audience size. Gradually, other English learners discovered her account. Comments and encouragement began flowing in. The external support transformed her consistency from a personal struggle into a community celebration. After 18 months of daily posts, Anna had built a following of 2,000 fellow learners. More importantly, she had maintained perfect consistency for 500-plus days. The social accountability had created an unbreakable habit. But accountability doesn't require large audiences. Sometimes the most powerful accountability comes from just one other person. Language exchange partners, study buddies, or even family members can provide the social element that transforms individual effort into sustained success. The key is choosing accountability partners who understand the importance of consistency over perfection. They should celebrate your daily effort regardless of your performance level. Their role isn't to judge your English. It's to acknowledge your commitment. Digital tools have made social accountability easier than ever. Apps like Habitica gamify habit formation with social elements. Facebook groups, Discord servers, and specialized platforms connect English learners worldwide. The specific platform matters less than the consistency of interaction. Here's a practical implementation strategy. Choose one person and commit to sharing your daily English practice with them for 30 days. It could be a text message, voice note, or photo of your study materials. Make it simple but consistent. Remember, accountability isn't about creating pressure. It's about creating support. The goal is to make consistency easier, not to add stress to your learning journey. Creating a personalized consistency system is like designing a custom engine for your English learning journey. While universal principles apply, the specific mechanics must fit your lifestyle, personality, and circumstances. Let's build your unbreakable consistency framework. The foundation of any effective system is what I call the minimum viable practice, MVP. This is the smallest possible English activity you can commit to doing every single day, regardless of circumstances. Your MVP should be so simple that skipping it feels harder than completing it. For busy professionals, an MVP might be listening to English during the commute. For parents, it could be narrating household activities in English while children play. For students, it might be switching phone interface to English. The key is making it unavoidable and effortless. Jennifer, a marketing manager and mother of 2, struggled with traditional study schedules. Her MVP became listening to English podcasts while preparing breakfast, a 15-minute window that existed in her routine already. This single change led to 365 consecutive days of English exposure and a promotion to an international role. Your consistency system needs 4 essential components. 1. Trigger design. Your trigger is the environmental cue that initiates your English practice. It should be specific, obvious, and linked to existing habits. Instead of, I'll practice English in the morning, use after I pour my first cup of coffee, I will open my English app. 2. Friction reduction. Eliminate obstacles between intention and action. If your practice involves reading, keep English materials visible. If it's listening, have your playlist ready. If it's speaking, prepare conversation topics in advance. The easier you make the behavior, the more likely it becomes automatic. 3. Progress. Tracking visual progress creates psychological momentum. Use a simple calendar to mark successful days, or maintain a digital streak counter. The visual representation of consistency becomes addictive. You'll want to keep the chain unbroken. 4. Failure recovery protocol. Plan for inevitable interruptions. When you miss a day, and you will, have a predetermined response. My recommendation: immediately schedule tomorrow's practice session and treat the missed day as data, not failure. One broken link doesn't destroy the entire chain. Let me share the flexibility rule that has saved countless consistency streaks. Allow yourself to modify the intensity or duration of your practice, but never allow yourself to skip entirely. On exhausting days, maybe you only listen to one English song instead of 20-minute podcast. That counts as maintaining consistency. Michael, a software developer, implemented this rule during a particularly stressful work period. Instead of his usual 30-minute vocabulary study, he switched to 5 minutes of English social media scrolling. This flexibility preserved his 200-day streak and prevented the all-or-nothing thinking that often leads to complete abandonment. Your system should also include periodic reviews and adjustments. Every 2 weeks, assess what's working and what isn't. Are you finding certain triggers unreliable? Do specific types of content engage you more? Use this data to refine your approach. The Power Hour principle suggests dedicating 1 hour monthly to optimizing your consistency system. During this hour, evaluate your progress, adjust your methods, and plan for upcoming challenges. This meta-level work prevents small issues from becoming system failures. Consider creating environmental modifications that support consistency. Change your phone's language settings to English. Subscribe to English newsletters that arrive daily. Follow English-speaking social media accounts. These passive exposures supplement your active practice without requiring additional time commitment. Technology can amplify your system's effectiveness. Apps like Streaks or Productive Track Habits with satisfying visual feedback. Language learning apps often include streak counters and achievement badges. Use these gamification elements to make consistency more engaging. But remember, your system should enhance your motivation, not replace it. The goal is creating a structure so robust that it functions even when motivation fails. When designed properly, your consistency system becomes self-reinforcing. Each successful day makes the next day easier. The ultimate test of your system is its performance during disruption. Travel, illness, work crises, and personal challenges will occur. A truly effective consistency system adapts to these disruptions without breaking. Understanding the compound effect in language learning will revolutionize how you view your daily practice. This principle, borrowed from finance and physics, explains why small, consistent actions create exponential rather than linear results over time. In finance, compound interest means your money grows not just from your initial investment, but from the accumulated interest over time. $1 invested today becomes worth much more than $1 invested later, purely due to time and consistency. Your English practice works identically. Every day you engage with English, you're not just adding new knowledge. You're strengthening existing knowledge, creating connections between concepts, and developing unconscious pattern recognition. These invisible improvements compound daily, creating sudden breakthroughs that appear magical but are actually mathematical. Let's examine this through Marco's journey. A chef from Italy, Marco committed to learning 5 English culinary terms daily. Day 1, 5 terms. Day 2, 5 new terms plus stronger memory of day 1's terms. Day 3, 5 new terms plus reinforced memory of previous 10 terms plus unconscious pattern recognition beginning to form. After 30 days, Marco hadn't just learned 150 terms. He had developed culinary vocabulary intuition. He could guess the meaning of new cooking terms based on patterns he'd absorbed unconsciously. His brain had created a specialized English culinary database that operated automatically. This illustrates the network effect in language learning. Each new piece of knowledge connects to existing knowledge, creating exponential rather than additive value. Your 100th vocabulary word is exponentially more valuable than your first because it connects to 99 other words already in your network. Neuroscientist Dr. Patricia Cole's research reveals that language learning follows what she calls critical period clustering. Early consistent exposure creates neural foundations that make subsequent learning dramatically easier. This is why consistent beginners often surpass inconsistent advanced learners within surprisingly short time frames. The compound effect explains why consistent practice at lower intensity often outperforms sporadic intense practice. Consider 2 approaches. Approach A, study for 5 hours every Sunday. Approach B, study for 45 minutes daily. After 1 month, approach A totals 20 hours, while approach B totals 22.5 hours, similar investment. But approach B creates 7 times more compounding opportunities. Each daily session builds upon the previous day's work while the knowledge remains fresh and accessible. Research from Harvard's Memory Lab shows that spaced repetition, consistent, distributed practice improves retention by 200 to 400% compared to mass practice, intensive, concentrated sessions. The compound effect isn't just about total time. It's about optimal distribution of that time. Here's where the compound effect becomes truly exciting. It accelerates over time. Your first month of consistent practice might yield 20% improvement. Your second month might yield 35% improvement. Your third month might yield 50% improvement, despite identical effort levels. This acceleration occurs because your brain becomes more efficient at processing English. Pattern recognition improves. Vocabulary connections multiply. Grammar structures become intuitive. You're not just learning English. You're learning how to learn English more effectively. Sarah, a university student, documented this acceleration meticulously. Month 1, she understood 30% of English podcasts. Month 2, 45%. Month 3, 65%. Month 4, 80%. Month 5, 90%. Month 6, 95%. The improvement curve steepened dramatically as compounds multiplied. But here's the crucial caveat. Compound effects require patience to manifest. The first weeks might feel insignificant. You're planting seeds that won't sprout immediately. Many learners quit during this preparation phase, never experiencing the exponential growth waiting just beyond their impatience. The compound effect also explains why breaks in consistency are so costly. When you stop practicing, you don't just pause progress, you reverse it. Neural connections weaken. Vocabulary fades. Pattern recognition regresses. Restarting requires rebuilding lost ground before moving forward. However, the compound effect offers encouraging news for returning learners. Previous consistent practice creates muscle memory that accelerates relearning. Knowledge rebuilds faster than it originally developed, thanks to existing neural pathways. To maximize compound effects, focus on quality over quantity. 30 minutes of focused, engaged practice compounds more effectively than 60 minutes of distracted, passive exposure. Your brain compounds attention and engagement, not just time spent. Understanding this principle should liberate you from impatience while motivating consistency. Trust that today's small effort is creating tomorrow's breakthrough. Your English fluency isn't built day by day. It's compounded day by day. The most profound transformation in successful English learning isn't about methods or materials. It's about identity. When you shift from I am trying to learn English to I am someone who learns English daily, everything changes. This identity transformation is the ultimate key to unbreakable consistency. Identity-based habits are infinitely more powerful than outcome-based habits. Instead of focusing on speaking fluently, outcome, focus on becoming someone who practices English daily, identity. Instead of obsessing over perfect pronunciation, outcome, embrace being someone who consistently works on pronunciation improvement, identity. This shift seems subtle, but creates profound behavioral changes. When your identity aligns with your actions, consistency becomes natural rather than forced. You're not following a study schedule. You're being true to who you are. Let me share Rosa's transformation. A graphic designer from Colombia, Rosa initially struggled with traditional goal setting. She'd set targets like speak English fluently in 6 months, but consistently abandoned her efforts after a few weeks. Everything changed when she reframed her approach around identity. Instead of outcome goals, she focused on becoming someone who learns English every day. She started introducing herself as a daily English learner rather than someone trying to learn English. This identity shift changed her behavior immediately. When friends invited her to social events during her English practice time, she'd say, "I can join after my daily English session. It's just who I am." The practice wasn't negotiable because it contradicted her identity to skip it. Within 18 months, Rosa was freelancing for international clients, conducting video calls in English, and had even relocated to Canada. The fluency she'd chased unsuccessfully for years emerged naturally from her identity-based approach. Identity formation follows a simple but powerful cycle. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. Each day you practice English, you cast a vote for, "I am someone who learns English daily." Accumulate enough votes, and that identity becomes unshakable. This voting system is forgiving and encouraging. You don't need perfect consistency to build an identity. You need majority consistency. If you practice 5 days out of 7, you're still voting primarily for your English learner identity. One missed day doesn't redefine you. The language you use to describe yourself matters enormously. Notice the difference between these statements. "I'm terrible at English" versus "I'm improving my English daily. I can't understand native speakers" versus "I'm developing my listening skills. I'm not a language person" versus "I'm becoming multilingual." Your self-talk creates your identity, which drives your behavior, which produces your results. Positive identity language creates an upward spiral of improvement. Here's a practical exercise for identity development. Complete this sentence daily for 30 days. "I am someone who." Fill it with English learning behaviors you want to embody. "I am someone who listens to English content daily." "I am someone who practices pronunciation regularly." "I am someone who embraces English learning opportunities." Professional athletes understand identity power intuitively. They don't just train to win competitions. They see themselves as champions and train accordingly. Their identity drives their training, not external motivations. Your English learning deserves the same approach. See yourself as a successful English communicator who happens to be in the development phase. This isn't self-deception. It's strategic identity construction. Identity-based learning also provides resilience during challenging periods. When motivation wanes or progress stalls, your identity sustains you. "This is just what I do" becomes more powerful than "I should do this." Building an English learning identity requires patience. Research suggests new identities take 2 to 8 months to solidify, depending on consistency and reinforcement. But once established, identity-based habits become remarkably durable. Start by choosing one simple identity statement that resonates with you. Write it down. Say it aloud daily. Most importantly, act in alignment with it consistently. Let your actions reinforce your identity, which will strengthen your actions in return. Remember, you're not just learning English. You're becoming someone who speaks English fluently. That person already exists within you. Your consistent practice is simply revealing who you've always had the potential to become. As we reach the conclusion of this transformative journey, let's crystallize the profound lessons that can reshape not just your English learning, but your entire approach to growth and achievement. The greatest revelation is that consistency trumps intensity every single time. The student who studies 20 minutes daily will surpass the one who studies 5 hours weekly, not just in language acquisition, but in building the character traits that create lasting success. This principle extends far beyond English learning. It's the foundation of all meaningful achievement. We've discovered that your brain is designed for gradual, consistent progress. The compound effect isn't just a financial concept. It's how neural pathways strengthen, how habits form, and how impossible dreams become inevitable realities. Every small action you take today is an investment in tomorrow's breakthrough. Perhaps most importantly, we've learned that identity shapes behavior more powerfully than motivation ever could. When you stop trying to learn English and start being someone who learns English daily, consistency becomes effortless. You're no longer fighting against your nature, you're honoring it. The plateaus, frustrations, and moments of doubt aren't obstacles to overcome. They're integral parts of the journey that build resilience and deepen commitment. Every challenge you face, while maintaining consistency, strengthens your ability to persist through future difficulties. This lesson extends to every area of life. Whether pursuing career advancement, health improvement, or personal relationships, the principles remain the same. Start small, stay consistent, trust the process, and let your identity guide your actions. You now possess not just strategies for English fluency, but a blueprint for lifelong success. Your transformation begins the moment you choose consistency over perfection. Right now, I want you to decide on your minimum viable practice, the smallest English activity you can commit to doing every single day for the next 30 days. Share your commitment in the comments below. Tell us what you'll do daily and why it matters to you. When you make your goal public, you activate the power of social accountability we discussed today. If this episode inspired you to embrace the consistency mindset, smash that like button to help other English learners discover these life-changing principles. Subscribe to Epic English Stories for more transformative content that turns language learning into personal growth. Your English fluency journey starts with today's choice. What will it be?